My name is Ingrid Norris. It used to be Ingrid Claus, like as in Santa. I used to get a lot of phone calls for presents from little kids. Anyway, I live in Whittlesea now, which is beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, and I'm recording this at our beautiful library. And the beautiful people in it, they are absolutely awesome. They're my second family.
Okay. Tell us about your first family.
I will tell you a bit about my first part of my life, which started in East Germany. And I remember when I was about 2.5, I don't remember completely, but I know I had to be quiet when we crossed the river because my mum was escaping and to go to the west to meet my dad, who'd also already escaped. So mum carted me in a handcart and then across the river, and once we were across the river, the dogs couldn't get us anymore. So she got on a train and met my dad somehow in West Germany, in a place called Immenstadt, and he was a stocking weaver, and we were renting a house in Immenstadt, and that was right next to these beautiful snow mountains. So I learnt and a lake. So I learnt to swim and I learnt to ski behind the house, which was awesome. So then when I was 6, my parents asked for a residency in Australia and they got an assisted passage on the Castle Felice. And so I had a boat trip, which was awesome. And Mum and Dad, I think we arrived here 3 weeks later, something like that. And we went to 76 Pascoe Vale, 76 Derby Street, Pascoe Vale, in a rental house, which Prestige Limited, who was in Brunswick or Moreland, they housed us. And then Mum and Dad used to ride to Prestige. She also worked there. They used to ride by bike there and home. And I'm not sure how long they stayed there. It was quite a while. And then my dad asked the people opposite the Wilkies in Derby Street, could he build them a garage, which he did. They had a house but no garage. And he built this brick garage and we lived in that for a couple of years. And Pascoe Vale was lovely, and I went to Pascoe Vale State School. I used to walk there. And I also went to the Glenroy swimming pool, which had a big elephant on it. And if anyone's been there, they know the elephant in the pool. After that, can't remember any other questions. After that, we went to Fawkner. My dad and his builder friend built a house, a flat-roofed house, which was unusual, at 7 Glinda Street, Fawkner, near the high school. And Dad also worked for Mally's in Brunswick, and he then Mally's helped him to get some schooling, and he learnt washing machines and fridges. And then he set up himself, and he rented a shop in Glinda Street and was selling some of their wares. And then Dad went out on his own and fixed washing machines and fridges. After that, what happened? We lived in Fawkner for quite a while, and I went to Fawkner High School.
What did you do for entertainment as a young girl in Fawkner?
After I left school at 15, Fawkner High, and got a job with Prestige. I thought I was a secretary, but I was probably only a bit of a stenographer and stuff. But I did do typing, and it had to go to Switzerland, which I thought was pretty cool. After that, when I was about 17, 18, because I stayed at Prestige for quite a while, I went and worked for a solicitor in Coburg, opposite the jail, Coburg Jail. The only entertainment I actually did was walk a lot, but we did go to Coburg Town Hall dances, and I met a few footballers, and what else did we do? I met
What kind of music did they play at the dances?
Sorry?
What kind of music did they play at the dances?
It would have been rock and roll, I think, because I love rock and roll. Might have been, God bless you, might have been jazz as well, because some of my friends were jazzers. They were called jazzers and rockers. I was definitely a rocker. And I also went to Moonee Ponds Town Hall. They were jazzers and rockers too. But I did spend a lot of time at the Faulkner swimming pool, and I did get into the diving at the school sports. That's about it that I can think of. Mm-hmm. Anything you need to know about Pascoe Vale or?
Well, just any sort of details.
We had a lot of paddocks in Faulkner, a lot of paddocks, and we did used to ride our bikes a lot up to Moomba Park, which wasn't built yet, which was on this side, right side of Sydney Road, and we did get a train, so we did go in, we had to walk a long way, because the cemetery at Faulkner was where the train station was. So we'd get on the cemetery train, as we called it, and used to go into town. Not a lot, though. We didn't go to a lot of dances because we were too far out, really. So, but I did go camping a lot. That's where I met most of my friends, at Lake Tyers, Lakes Entrance, Marimbula, you name it. Wilson's Prom, for 40 years we went there every Christmas. That was awesome. If you know Wilson's Prom, it's an awesome place. Tidal River, Squeaky Beach, Mount Oberon, climbed them all, went to the lighthouse, walked there for 50 k's and back. It was an awesome place. If you like camping, we loved it. And then I had got married and had 3 children and moved on.
What was the wedding like?
Oh, weddings, I wasn't into weddings that much. The wedding, my husband liked weddings. I really wouldn't have had one, but he wanted one, so we had one at the Stoke House in St Kilda, which is now burnt down, by the way, and they've rebuilt a new one there, because I was a surfer and I wanted to come in by surfboard, but they thought that was a bit far out, so I wasn't allowed to do that. I had to wear a dress, so I did. And then we built a house and moved to Laylaw, which wasn't that far from Faulkner and Moomba Park and Coburg and all that. So then, I had the 3 kids, and my husband was a policeman, and I worked at the high school for 25 years as a integration aide, you'd call it now. But I had a reading program. I had my own library, so the English teachers at Thornbury High School were excellent. They wanted more than a library for their kids. They wanted to engage kids properly in English, so they employed me, and I love books, and I could buy whatever I wanted to engage kids because I had my own children. And so I had 6 classes a day for 25 years virtually. So I did engage kids because I did get school newspapers for the boys sometimes, so they could, they like reading the comics too. It doesn't matter to me. If you get engaged in reading, then that was my job. I also had kids that were naughty. They sent them to me all the time, but it was a great job for 25 years, and then I left there to look after my mother at Goffs Bay, near Eildon, Mansfield, Mount Buller, and I loved that. I did that for 12 years, and then I came to Whittlesea, and I found a house and bought it next to the library virtually, which was awesome. I was in seventh heaven, and they have become my second family now, and I'm very, very grateful for the library, to the council, I suppose, for building it. And I was opposite a park, and I'm next to a garden centre and a high school and a retirement centre where my mother now is after Mansfield. So that's my story.
When did you move to Whittlesea?
I moved to Whittlesea 4 years ago, which was 2014, December the 4th. I know that, I remember. Yes, it was hard leaving the lake, Goffs Bay, but Whittlesea has been my saviour in a way, because I hurt myself and that meant I couldn't walk all those trips that I used to do. So I've got the library to do, you know, play on the computers, learn from Patrick from my mobile phones, because I never had one. So I learned how to use a mobile phone, and I've had a lot of help from the library in many, many ways. Not just choosing books, but all the IT stuff they have. It's really awesome, very, very, very important. And as well as that, they have the seniors, the pensioners clubs on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and they have, the robots. They have robots, they have, what's the flying things? Drones. They have drones. They have Coralie to help the kids or read stories to them, and I saw her yesterday at the nursing home, entertaining the elderly where my mum is, so that was interesting. And she reads funny books like about bums, which was really good though. The kids and the oldies were in stitches, so I thought that was really good. The librarians are just so down to earth and just so helpful. I don't think any other library that I've ever been to has been that good on a daily basis. This is like me, you know, always haunting them every day, and I'm always having something to do, wanting something. So yes, I think the Whittlesea Library has been my saviour, being back in town. So yeah.
Have you found it easy to sort of integrate with the community here in the 4 years that you've been here?
Have I found it
easy to get involved in the community?
I have found Whittlesea the most involving community that I have ever struck. Now, I lived in a tiny community that should have been like that, and it never was, ever. My mum lived there 50 years and it was not like Whittlesea. Everyone in Whittlesea and everything that Whittlesea has, which is community house, the gardens, there's 2 of them. I haven't even got to one of them yet. There's the retirement, the nursing homes, 2 of them in Whittlesea. I mean, and they come to the library too sometimes. The community house has free lunches. The library also has tea and coffee if you need it. The library grows things for the kids outside in the garden. What else do we do? Ride bikes. Well, you did. Patrick took people for a ride. I couldn't because I had broken something again. So because I've had a shoulder done and knees gone, it's been hard. So without the library, I couldn't have seen anyone. It really has made my life. Whittlesea, the people, the shops are close. The buses come and take us to the hospital if we need it. And it meets outside the library. There's a tennis courts opposite. The ovals are opposite. I don't think there's anything Whittlesea hasn't got. It's got a market on a Monday. Sometimes it has markets in the library. There's meetings in every room of the library most days. There is. You can't walk past here without talking to someone. And there's a lot of people who have come here that don't know people, they come to the library too, and they bring their dog.
So, did you ever go back to Germany?
My husband wanted to go and meet my cousins, aunts and uncles because none of them ever left. So we did. It was really difficult to get in. It was in 1977. I think it was 77. And we had to get visas and things. Because he was a policeman, that made it even harder because it was still under not a good rule. So we went to Belgium, picked up a visa from the police that got it for us there, and then we went back to Bibra, where the station was to go back to East Germany. You took a train in there, but we were followed because my husband kept telling me, Ingrid, you can't take your camera and you've got to be quiet. I said, no, I'm going to take my camera and take my grandma's grave because I've never seen it. And he said, well, you have to be quiet. No, well, I wasn't. But I didn't say anything to put me in jail, so that was good. But yes, it was lovely going back and seeing my aunts and uncles and cousins, and they were just awesome. They still had not a lot of food, but they gave us everything. They were just kind and gentle and not mean, or they weren't even sorry for what happened to them. They were just nice. And I didn't want to leave them. I wanted to bring them all back with me. So we had 3 months away to Greece and Italy and Germany, and yeah, that was good. But I didn't want to leave my kids, and so I wasn't very happy most of the time. I didn't appreciate the churches in Italy, and I went to Rome and Vatican. I suppose, I don't know, I think you have to be a bit older to do that. When you're young, well, I was, in my 30s? I call that young. I had 3 kids, they were young, and I worried more about them being at home. So, yeah. My mother looked after them at Goffs Bay, and one of them went to Dandenong, to Grandpa. So she organised Grandpa, ordered him around. Any other questions, Mr. Patrick?
Well, I was wondering what kind of books you had at the school in Thornbury. What do you
Oh
remember
my
what the
goodness.
titles were?
Well, I had to be very careful in my own library, not careful in what I bought for my ordinary students, but we had quite a few Aboriginal children, and you can't just buy any Aboriginal books that you might think are good. You had to actually ask the Aboriginal elders in Broadmeadows, and they give you a list of books to get. So that's what I did, because I did love Aboriginal books, and so I got as many as I could, and I read as much as I could because it was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Horrible at times, but that's history, that's what happened. And I still love the Aboriginals because I used to go to Lake Tyers, a Christian camp, and they lived across the lake, and I used to get my surfboard and paddle across because they had swings and slides and we didn't. So, well, I know that's a bit silly, but that's what happened. And when I got older, we used to take the older Aboriginals into town to Lake's Entrance in the back of our ute because they had to walk all the way. So, yeah, so we liked the Aboriginal kids, and I played a lot when they taught me the boomerang on Lake Tyers Beach, so I did learn that, and it was really lovely. I had a beautiful childhood, I think, so I'm very lucky. That's it.
That sounds nice. Okay, well, maybe one last question is what do you think the future will be like for Whittlesea?
What I think the future will be like for Whittlesea, I think it's got a great future. The surrounds around Whittlesea are growing exponentially. But Whittlesea Township, I can't see how it can, there's not any land left that I can see you can build heaps of high-rises on. So I'm hoping the township, which is part of the library and tennis courts and school, won't have a lot of high rises, but I can see it will grow. I'm not sure it can accommodate all the people that are going to use the library, because there'll be heaps. They're building everywhere, and there's Mernda and South Morang, Lorimer. There's all these places that now know about the library, which they didn't before. I think it'll grow with lots more people, so I don't really know how that will pan out. I can't think of anything to expand. Yep.
Okay, well, we can leave it there.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Or you just edit?